Hey, Zach. Great to see you, man.
How you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Your film, Keepers of the Five Kingdoms. It's fun. It's an action, part comedy, fantasy, also rooted in real world. And we're going to talk about it. But I know people here,
Okay.
you are known as an actor in one of the most iconic movies that I saw when I was a kid. We
What?
might be, yeah.
What could you possibly be talking about? What could you possibly be talking about?
But
Come on,
A Christmas Story is so much fun. It's endured.
Yeah.
I love the TCM all day thing. Like, you must be like proud to have been a part of that film that's endured like for decades. It's now a classic, a staple.
40 years.
Yeah. Is it 40?
It's 40 years old. That film came out in 83. And so it's over 40 years old, going 41 now. Dude, it's the craziest experience. You're old enough I can make this reference.
Please.
You know, in the TV show Cheers, right?
Right.
And Cheers, then Norm would walk in and everyone would look and say, Norm. And because of A Christmas Story, my entire life, whenever I walk into a place, people look over at me and for half a second, they're like, wait, how do I know that? Hey, it's that guy. Whether that they know me from where, they kind of give me a good 10 to 20 seconds of, we'll be friends before I screw it up. And that has been life-changing for me.
That's great. Well, you must be proud of that. And it's like, it kind of has a legacy that's lasted. I mean, there's merchandise related to this movie that sells today. The leg lamp. I mean, everything about it it's just so iconic. So
did you see the sequel that we did? We did the sequel in 2022. And that was A Christmas Story Christmas.
Oddly, I have not seen it. I plan to see it. I just got Max. It's on Max, right?
Yeah, it's on. And here's the thing: is that everybody brings it up. Like, I was nervous when they said there was going to be a sequel. It's like, no kidding, man. That's terrifying. Because you assume they're going to screw it up, and they did a really good job. And in some ways, the film is more for the people who grew up with the movie, who are grown-ups now, because it's the stages of life. If that makes sense,
right, yeah.
And I don't want to give anything away, but there's like, the thing I always loved about the original film is that there is no magical elf. There is no ex machina coming in to save the problems. There's no Frosty the Snowman. It's just a family going through hard times and coming together to solve problems, which is what my Christmases were like when I was a kid. And I think most people's are very few people have magic solve their problems. And in A Christmas Story, the sequel, what was incredible, because yes, you're right, being part of the first one is incredible. But I was a 13-year-old kid. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew that Bob Clark and Gene Shepard put lightning in a bottle. How would you be able to quantify that? What it would do over the next 40 years? And then to be part of the sequel, you knew that it was rare air. You knew that people don't make sequels to movies 40 years later. You knew that there's nobody in this film who's a movie star, myself included. I'm a recognizable actor to some and a complete stranger to others. But there's no Tom Cruise. The story is the star. The fans made that film happen. To be there, to be part of that, you were aware every second that you were part of something special. And to meet the fans of the film who now watch them back to back and say that it was a perfect extension from the first world that Gene Shepard created, and it continued the story as their lives continued. You become part of something so much bigger than yourselves, and it is a huge gift. And without being religious in any way, shape, or form, it's a blessing, and I'm very grateful for it all the time. So oh yeah, man, you want to talk about Farkus? We will talk Farkus.
Well, we have over 3,000 people watching live. We have questions in the chat, but I also want to ask you about your work with Uwe Boll. You have worked with Uwe.
Yeah. Okay.
I love the guy. You know, he makes exploitation movies, and I mean, it's epic. Can you talk about working with him? And then I want to show the trailer for your movie, and we'll talk about that. But tell me about working with Uwe Boll.
Okay. He by the way, he told me it was Uwe, so I usually go with that. Uwe's amazing. Yeah, Uwe. And I was there. I don't know if you remember this, but he boxed all of his critics. So we were in Vancouver, Canada, and he had like 6 critics from different magazines and so forth waiting to get in the ring, and they didn't know that he was a college boxer, and he literally beat the crap out of all of them. There were at least 2 or 3 of them sitting on the sidewalk afterwards throwing up. One had to get taken away in an ambulance. Yeah, he's an intense dude. I love him to death. Sometimes he's his own worst enemy, but he is like something out of he himself is like something out of a movie. He's a very intense guy. One of my favorite quotes of his was, we were filming Blood Rain Deliverance, which was a sequel to Blood Rain. He's like, yeah, this is where you play Billy the Kid as a 350-year-old vampire. Yeah, this is what you do now. I'm like, okay, so it says here he has a Transylvanian accent. Yeah, okay, this is good. We go. Like, that was the directing style.
We interviewed him on the show, and we showed video of him boxing. He was serious. I mean,
dude, bro. Yeah, like, you better know your stuff, man. Like, yeah, he's a tough guy. I respect him a lot. I love Uwe. I wish him nothing but happiness, and he's been a lovely person to work with. And I honestly feel like, you know, when we were doing Blood Rain 2, he's like, we're doing this, set up this big sequence, and he goes, come on, shoot faster, faster. We're not here to make pretty pictures. And I'm like, Uwe, no, that's what we're here for. We are here to make pretty pictures. So he, as directors go, he's a brilliant producer. And he's a wonderful person to work with. I think that he got better as he got forward. There was a couple of movies he did, Rampage and so forth, afterwards, that you could really see he had his heart in it, that he really found his groove. But yeah, I love Uwe. And now he's in the restaurant business. So good for him.
Let's now pivot, and we'll go to questions momentarily. The trailer for your film, which I saw at a screening a while ago. It's finally coming out. Let's take a look at Alan. If you would mute me here, we're gonna show the trailer.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Alan.
What is that?
Good to meet you too.
Uncle Chuck, we found something.
It looks so familiar. The legends are true.
So what are we gonna do now?
Greetings, traveler. You are in the kingdom of Bingbing, ruled by the wizard Lord Quay.
My true destiny is conquering the 5 kingdoms.
That stone is how we get home?
Lord Quay, she will use it to destroy your world.
What do we do now? We go and save the world.
We need to find the portal key thing, figure out how that works, while avoiding a crazy wizard so we can get back home.
Is that all? Because that sounds crazy.
Magic. Magic.
This is magical. It's amazing.
It's like magic.
Smells tasty.
Oh my God!
All right.
I have to say, when I watched it, it was you worked with every Asian American actor from the 80s and 90s, and I appreciate that.
My pleasure. And that was one of the goals. Like James Hong, he's such a legend and an icon, but the goal was like the people who watched him in the 80s and 90s, they have kids now. So what would work for either their kids or their grandkids? so that both sides can watch the film together. Getty Watanabe does the voice of Trader Joe, and George Takei does the voice of Ao the tortoise.
We've got
you have Dante
so many.
Basco, and you have
Dante Basco, he's amazing. He plays Frank the Rat. He's hilarious.
And we have questions, so many questions in the chat. Let's go here. Solomon Thornton, greetings, Sir Zack, or should I say Sir Farkus? Any advice for beginning filmmakers?
Shoot a short. It'll suck. Do it, then do it a bunch of times in a row. Make it small bites so it's easy to get done.
Professor Fear, do you still have that hat you wore in A Christmas Story?
No, I don't have the original one because it's in a museum and my head grew. But this is the one from the sequel, A Christmas Story Christmas.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love it. Nice. From Rumble, Be Mo Better. If you could make a movie with Chris and Alan as the leads, what genre would it be? And what would it be about? I don't know about that question. I just have.
I think it would be sci-fi. I think it'd be like a Shaun of the Dead, but with aliens.
Let's do it. That's
you
great.
guys would play the best friends, yeah.
Heinlein, what are the biggest changes in the industry you have seen, good and bad?
That's a huge question. It would take about an hour to address. Everything has gotten democratized through digitalization and technology, and that continues to progress faster and faster. So really, there is no excuse not to be able to do something yourself. Even if you can't do it, you can always do the research to find out how it works so that nobody can talk to you like you're an idiot. So you can research whether it's sound or VFX or camera ops or style or color. You can do all these things, and then you can have a good conversation with somebody you're going to work with. So it puts it like you have got the university at your fingertips. That's the number one thing.
And what was it like to work with James Hong? I mean, he's a legend.
Yeah. And he's also, he's a 95-year-old man. So it's, you work within the parameters of his energy levels, and then you make sure that everything's dialed in, and he brings the heat, man. He drops it. And Chris, you've seen the film. There's some emotional moments in there for Mr. Hong. And when we were doing the sound mix, he wanted to be there for some of it. And he told me that he thought it was the best role he's ever had.
The Nerd Far Away asks, "Hail, Mr. Ward. What is your hot take on typecasting?"
Typecasting I've been typecast as the guy you want to punch in the face since I was 13, and I turned that into a career. So any chance you can get in the room, use it to get to the next level.
Right. Chelsea M says, did you stay in touch with the cast, those who played the kids specifically after the movie, like Peter Billingsley or whatnot?
Yes, I did, and we talk all the time. Yeah.
That's great. Krizik says, given your experience as a YA actor, young adult from the 80s, what do you see as a challenge when casting and directing kids today? Can you see yourself doing a Lord of the Flies today?
Working with young people is always a challenge because you're not sure what environment they come from, how they're treated at home, and what the shorthand is to get to work with them. Back when we shot A Christmas Story, we were all Gen Xers. We were basically feral children. So when Bob Clark was lovely, sweetest man in the world, but he treated you like a kindly uncle. And he could walk over and go, "Okay, buddy." Like, for example, when I'm doing the fight sequence in A Christmas Story, I was screwing up my lines. And he just he's like, "All right, cut," came over, talked to me, and took his time going, all right, let's get those lines because they suck. Let's run them again. Oh, let's run it again. Try it fast, try it slow. He could have fun with me. he could say, what you did just sucked. And I wouldn't sue him, and I wouldn't have a temper tantrum. I'd be a professional. Whereas nowadays, I don't know what you're going to get. If you're going to get somebody who's entitled and who's got a helicopter parent, that's going to be an issue. So you have to deal with them on their level. So dealing with young people is more difficult than it is with dealing with professionals. You just have to play as life.
What was it like to work with? Is it Bingbing? Is that the actress?
Yeah. Bingbing's in Keepers of the Five Kingdoms. Yeah.
She is stunningly beautiful. I don't know. I'm just saying, what was it like to work with her?
She was great. She was a freaking rock star, man. She literally, like, she's got this incredible gown on, and she has to, at one point she steps down from her throne, and she stepped on her own gown, and she fell face first, bam. And I was right in front of her reading somebody else's, like reading another character's lines, and she fell, and I caught her, but her leg hit the dolly. And I was very grateful. She could have been just like, dude, she could have been had her face shattered and everything. And I caught her. And so there was like, oh, everybody froze. Everybody was like in shock. And I got her up. I'm like, you okay? You're right. And she's like, yeah, well, what do we do now? I'm like, we go to the next scene. And she looked at me and went, okay. And just kept on going through. And, you know, Chris, you know the arc that Bingbing has in the film, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So you'll know that there's certain moments that she does things that are very much like Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China, but she also brings at certain moments a level of vulnerability that are shockingly genuine, that are so freaking good, that really go against the grain of what the expectations are. Would you agree?
Yeah. No, it's good. Well, we don't want to give anything away. But yeah.
Right. No spoilers. Besides, it's awesome. Right.
Question here from Justin Ong for 5 says, how did you do that kind of vaudeville physical stuff in that scene in LA Twister? Did you train for it? Or did you have background in it?
I grew up, my father was a boxer. I grew up throwing hands at the age of 6. I got into fencing and taekwondo and jeet kune do, and also jazz dancing, because that needed to help me not make friends as a new kid in class. I always loved physical comedy. Peter Sellers was my hero, and I always thought, Buster Keaton and Abbott Costello, those guys were freaking hilarious, and being able to do something funny physically without having to say a word is one of the best forms of communication ever. So I got to do that on the TV show Titus, and then when I did LA Twister, deep cut there, buddy. I got to do it myself, and I love that stuff.
Great. Well, I do have a final question. When is it coming out? Is it out on VOD? How can people see it?
The movie is out right now on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Venmo. Venmo. Is that what the other platform is? Venmo. Everywhere on your local. Vimeo. Thank you. Venmo. On Vimeo. It's on all your local cable providers. You know how you scroll down through the TV guide and on the television, and it says channels 1. Yeah. It's on all of those. It's a big deal. It's the first 95-year-old Asian leading man action hero in all of cinematic history. So enjoy.
Great. And we do have one final question that came in here from Brock Samsonite, who's a member. Zach, in all your years backstage working projects, what is your favorite snack to get from craft services?
Oh, man. You can always tell if there's a lot of money on set because the quality of the craft service goes up. And if they have a large assortment of fancy nuts, the Brazil nuts and the macadamia, I will take pocketfuls of those home.
Nice. A healthy snack. That's great. Zack, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Congrats on Keepers of the Five Kingdoms, now out on VOD. Make sure to rent it, purchase it, get it. Zack, this is great. So happy to see you, and congrats again on the film.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Take care. Thank you.
Take care.
Later.
Bye, guys.